In this video, we're going to talk about the counter channel screen. This gives you an at-a-glance look at your total painted usage in various different ways, and also lets you print them. So you access it from the main screen. You just go over twice and it'll be the counter channel screen, and there's several different ways you can view your counters. If you don't have anything painted, your left guns and right guns will warn you, hey, you don't have anything to show, so we won't look at it. But if we start painting, it'll immediately show, hey, I'm painting gun number one is painting with a width of 4 inches, and then the color, it's yellow, so that's telling me that this is a yellow gun, and I'm in solid mode, so it's counting into the solid counter channel. If I go in the skip instead, it'll start counting in skip, and it's going up 10 foot at a time, because over here you can see my pattern. I'm doing a 10-foot stripe, and you can view it from either master. So as soon as I add another gun, if I want to do a no pass, for example, it's still going to update constantly that these are what I'm painting with. If for some reason you change the color of a gun, let's say from yellow to white, let's stop painting for a second. I'll go over here and change gun number one to white instead. If I start painting, notice that now we have another line for gun number one, 4 inches, but the text is white, so that I have a separate line for my yellow gun, if the gun is yellow versus if the gun is white. And again, it doesn't care if it's in solid or skip, it's still going to count into the same line. Also, if I change the gun's width, stop painting for a second, and let's say this is a 6-inch for this job. Again, we'll add another line for that. And you also notice the pattern preview is updated when now the gun is wider versus the old gun, which was 4 inches. All right, and then we have the same thing for the right side guns. If I would paint with that, this screen would update accordingly. The next screen is the trip counters. So this kind of works like the trip odometer in your car. It keeps track of since the last time you've cleared them, but if I want to, like, say, do multiple smaller jobs, or like I'm painting a certain piece of street, I want to track that separately, I can do that into a trip counter. And then once I've done that section, I can just click on the X here and it'll wipe out that particular line. Also note that the trip counters are only by gun number and color and not by width. And if I go back to my main left guns page, it still has all the history of everything I've painted, even though I've deleted the gun number one trip counter. Okay. Same thing for the right side. The other thing that you may have as an optional feature is the pattern counters. So pattern counters track a specific alignment of guns. So let me reset this back to yellow 4-inch. Okay. I start painting again. Now notice I'm painting double solid, so the solid line is increasing. Okay, so you can use this if you need to track by your jobs of how much left no pass versus how much right no pass you've painted. As I change this, now I'm painting single solid, and so that line's updating instead. And it doesn't matter which gun I'm painting. If I'm painting with any single solid gun, it will update the appropriate line. If I want to do a no passing solid skip, it counts into that line, and so on. If we're tracking pump usage on your system, you'll have a page for pump counters. And as you can see, if I'm simulating pump strokes here, the corresponding pump counter will go up. And totals, it's just a running total of everything on the left and the right side. It's summing up all the counters that we have and just giving you a overall, okay, you've painted this much solid, this much skip on the left side, same thing on the right side, and the grand total of everything. And then finally, the options page lets you print counters. If you have a paper tape printer, we'll simulate it right here in this area. So I can print out the various types of counters. If I want to print out my gun counters, I just select print here, and the paper tape printer will spit out the little piece of paper that tells you, okay, what are my counters for each gun, and then by color as well. So I'll have yellow totals, we'll have white totals for both the left and the right side. Okay, if I instead want to paint pattern counters, I could do that as well. And the printout will look slightly different. And instead it'll show me each of my pattern counters. And it's also showing usage of the pumps, it's showing application rates. Again, these are average rates unless you have the DL18 to give you instant rates, and calibration numbers. And finally, I can paint trip counters, which is going to look similar to the first one, but now we're just saying, okay, here's what the current trip counter values are if you need to print out, like after you completed a small job. And that's pretty much it for the counter channels. Let us know if you have any questions.